Hey everyone, Clark Brown with Disaster Podcast for season number 2, episode 14. We're doing something for the first time here. We're doing a podcast, not live. I'm actually live, but you're not going to be watching this live. We're actually doing this from the road, from my travels. This is the first one that I've done this way. Using iPad, microphone right here. Just, have some love and mercy for us today. The sound may not be as engineered and the video may not be as great, but it really needs to be about the content anyway. So thanks for joining us today. Today is, I don't even know what today is. It's October 2nd or 3rd. You're going to be watching this on any day of the week, so it doesn't matter. But we're in early October, and let me tell you where I'm at. I am in Southwest Florida. Today, I'm in Anna Maria Island. I actually came up here to get, for the first time, a room. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. A hotel room so that I could have Wi-Fi and connectivity and power to do the podcast. It's that important that we stay consistent, and I won't lie, I needed a break. So I got here last week, the response to Hurricane Ian, and I noticed from, how big of an area it was going to be. So I've been living in a RV camper van type thing for the last week. It's really cool. It's a ProMaster, kind of like a Sprinter, real high top. It's got everything I need. It's just a little small and limited, but generator. I've been living off the grid in Fort Myers, Punta Gorda, Fort Charlotte, Cape Coral. Fort Myers Beach is not open yet. So we're down here in the thick of it, and I don't get to go home for another couple of days, but I will be going home. But I wanted to just give be consistent, do a different kind of podcast from here. I do wish this was live so I could take some questions, but I have been receiving a lot of content and the contact all week from restorers and people I know and don't know with questions about responding down here, and I want to address that. But first, I really, really want to, excuse me, I really want to thank everyone that's putting in efforts here. I had dinner last night with a member of AIR, and this is my 20th year of doing disasters. And 18 years ago, I was in this same place in Port Charlotte for Hurricane Charlie and Jean and Francis and Ivan. And I will tell you the difference in response that this country makes has gotten better. It's not always perfect. And they take a lot of criticism that it's not moving fast enough. Well, people have grown even less tolerant than ever before. Now, I'm not talking about the people that are injured or in some kind of way in threat of damage or harm to themselves. I'm talking about the inconvenience part. There were people here that lost their lives in some gruesome ways. And there were some injuries, and there were people with medical conditions that, should have evacuated, but didn't. But I drove down from Virginia to Florida just because all the airports were shutting down and unknowing where it was going to be. I wanted to have my vehicle. And on my way down, the convoy of linemen, tree companies, it was just miles long, and they need to be here. They actually need to be first. Then you've got the contractors doing the emergency services. I would tell people that contractors, everybody thinks you've got to be here first, and they rush in really, really fast. And they honestly make the task for those that are here first that need to be harder. So the linemen, the tree clearing debris for roads, obviously military issue, medical help, search and rescue. Those efforts are hindered by all of the people that come down here that it's just a little bit too early for and block the roads, and the traffic is ungodly, gobble up the resources, whether it be a place to park at night, campgrounds or not, or fuel, whatever fuel there is available, food. It's out of, I really understand everybody wants to get here, and everybody feels like if I don't get there first, I'm going to miss all the work. It's absolutely not true. And that's the mindset of scarcity and not abundance. but thank for those that have come down here. Thank for the contractors that are helping get these people's lives back together and the generators in place for people that didn't have power for days and getting them some water. Thanks for the people that we don't talk about. The John Don and our suppliers and United Rentals and all of our friends that are part of the infrastructure of what we need as contractors to do our work to help this place get back together. So it really takes a lot of moving parts, a lot of people. I don't know. People ask me how's the government doing handling this stuff. I don't know. I've never really paid attention to it. They do what they do. I think a lot of it's politically driven, et cetera, et cetera. But so the last thing on this storm, this is a really slow moving storm, meaning things are not going as fast as people want. I want everyone to remember, and I made a lot of videos all week long from the road and from my camper and out in the street. So those are usually on Restoration Nation on Facebook. Go to @Restoration Nation and become a member there. And we put a lot of content. But people are still numb that live here, and they're still trying to just get the basics. There's a Maslow, a famous doctor, created a hierarchy of needs, and the very basic of needs for a person started, physiological, food, water, survival. The second one, security and safety. Then it goes up and up, fellowship and others, and on up to things like that. They're not ready to discuss with people a contract in their face to do the work. There will be a time for that. Leave your information, and they'll pick the right people. But they just want to get power. They just want to get some water. They want to get grandma's medicine back to her so she can get it. And so just, don't be pushy. Listen, we all know that door knocking and looking for leads is not fun. And we all look at those kinds of things ourselves the same way. You don't like to be approached as a vulture. Don't approach people as a vulture. But they do need help. A lot of contractors are over capacity already and over promising, and they're getting jobs signed up and nothing's happening. That's a real issue. So leave your card. Even though they say they've got somebody, tell them, goodness, thank you. I'm glad you got someone to help. But if it falls through, give us a call. Maybe we can help, because, things happen and people can't complete the jobs that they, agree to. So don't be discouraged, but be humble, because we're here to help people first. There's more than enough work for everybody. As always with our podcast, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Kahi, KAHI.io. Kevin Dooley owns Kahi and his great team. Kevin is down here. He's got several businesses that support contractors, and he's down here in this mess with all of us. But Kahi is a great asset management and resource tracking app and product, for your little RFIDs. It's a great system. I recommend you go to kahi.io. Down here more than ever, you need to have tracking on your stuff, because you will lose a lot of equipment down here. It does go bye-bye, it grows wings, and it's good to know where that stuff is, or at least its last known location. So check out Kahi, and thank you, Kahi, for helping us with the sponsorship to continue to put these podcasts out. So let me give you a little update on the status. The storm came in as a Category 4. You all know this stuff, and as of today, as I'm recording this, and I'm going to look and see what day it is. Excuse me. The 5th. It's October 5th, and the island, Fort Myers Beach, is pretty bad, and it's not open yet. They're still in, I think, phase 2 of rescue. They have let some of the residents down there. I know one that lost everything he had. I made a video about that. He was able to go on and check for whatever's salvageable, but they wouldn't let him bring a truck and a trailer and get his stuff out. So contractors are not working there yet, but all around Cape Coral, Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, Northport, Fort Myers itself, Inglewood, even down into like Naples and up to Sarasota. Those are like the bookends of where I think people are seeing. I don't think Sarasota has a lot. I'm actually just north of Sarasota in basically Bradenton. But there's a lot of that going on, work there in the area. But there's just a lot that's just not started yet, and it will. So if you're down here and you think it's all gone, don't. Um, but it's pretty good. It's been a really good showing. I've heard some good stories, some good people really working on big stuff. I'm down here working with a couple of contractors. I'm not trying to set the world on fire this year. It's funny, I'll be 50 next week. This feels much different than it did when I was 35 and 40. It's on the road, eating. I mean, I had crackers and chips and granola bars and kind of bars for the first 3 to 4 days, and that kind of stuff, and all the driving and all the travel and picking up and moving and going to another area, and that stuff just gets to you. And then whatever your plan was for today, oftentimes the plans change. And, that stuff just takes, that's where I would say being just a great drying guy or girl and just being a good restorer is not enough to do storm work. You've got to be tough. You've got to be adaptable, innovative, creative, patient. Patient is probably the word that I give people more than anything. Patient, patient, patient. Your patience will eat you up if you don't have it. But you've got to be adaptable. You've got to really be approachable. Storms are relationships. Those are how those that make it. You make relationships with people, whether they be to work with them, for them, or they work for you or anything. But relationships are key and vital. It's plausible that people will come down here to get work to help out. You can make one relationship sometimes, and that will be all that they'll have all the work. One connection that is tied into a lot of things here. That could end up being all you can handle, and that's the only one you have to work on. And I know a lot of people do that. Let me talk about this is a big topic. Should I come down to Florida and bring my team and my equipment? I made a lot of my last podcast was about the do's and dips and the tips and dips and do's and don'ts. I've gotten no less than 100 messages because I asked people to reach out to me. Should I come from Chicago? Should I come from Gary, Indiana? Should I come from Arizona to handle that? Listen, I would obviously have no answer for that because I don't know what your condition is. I would tell you, make sure you stay covered at home. Do not leave your backyard where you've marketed. Check the licensing laws here. Very important. Do not take legal advice from people you don't know on the internet. Make sure your team is up for it. Have a plan. People are coming here with no plan and finding out that there's no hotels. You won't find a hotel very easily more than 2 hours away. Then you start getting into that drive, which is every year. But where are you going to get work? That's the big one, everyone. People get here and message and say, Clark, where can I get some leads? I get it, but you came to chase. And you're going to get out there. If you got a logo truck and you're in the right places, people will see you. Are you doing residential or commercial or a mix of both? What are your terms? Are you willing to finance insurance companies and do work without getting paid? I hope not, because you're going to be really, really sad when you find out that it's not going to work out too well for you down here. You need to be finding work where you can make sure you get paid. It is not all about the money, but you don't survive without getting paid. Let's just be real. I'm not going to be holistic here and altruistic. But I will tell you that if you come down here trying to finance this whole thing, I've got about 150 people that can tell you how that turned out for them going back to, 10 years ago or more. And Baton Rouge in 2015 for flood, and Irma, and Ida in Florida, and or in Louisiana, just on and on, right? Michael, you're not a bank. Be realistic. Make that part of your plan. You have a responsibility for your business, and you need to take that real seriously. Baseball is won with singles and doubles, not home runs. If this is a home run Hail Mary for you, you're going to want it too bad, and you're going to be willing to do whatever it takes to get work. And that's going to be a very weak position for you. So I would be cautious of that. But have a plan. Don't send the whole crew. Send a small group. Um, have a price list. I prefer to not do. I would not do Exactimate down. I prefer not to do Exactimate anytime. But down in a storm, no. T&M, maybe square foot pricing, whatever your method is. Make sure it's good. Make sure it's honest, and then stick with it. Be consistent with everybody. You don't want to go start charging everybody different ways because you might get referred by someone, and it's going to be a whole different deal. So those are some of my tips if they're welcome. I want to shout out to all of our members of AIR that are here. We have dozens of our members that are down here working. We actually every Tuesday have a leadership call, and our board board of leaders, and they're all volunteer, have a call once a week, try to address the state of AIR and stuff. And we had ours yesterday. We snuck it in. We didn't know we were going to have it. And let's real quick, if you can, let's jump on this Zoom. Over half of our leadership are down here, and we had some initiatives we were going to try to do in October. We've paused those because we're going to make sure that we know those that didn't travel still are getting the best they can out of AIR. But a lot of our backbone of our organization and our alliance is down here, so we're going to support them as well. Just so everyone listening to this knows, about 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, we're going to have a big dinner, a big gathering. It may be a big cookout or maybe a big restaurant. We don't know yet. Nick Levy, Nick Knack, is going to start helping put some of the plans together for that. But it's just too early for anyone to know where they can be or can't be. But in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, things will have started phase 2, which was getting into the new. We're doing the quick jobs right now, but we'll start getting into the ones that are, the bigger jobs, and adjusters have seen the site and kind of given the blessing that coverage was there, and a client is more comfortable to hire someone, and money starts flowing, and they start getting checks to start paying people. So a couple of weeks, we're going to have a big gathering for AIR, and the ethos of AIR. If you're not part of the Alliance of Independent Restorers, you are welcome to come join us. We would like to thank you and be a support for you and your staff. So whatever that is, follow us at Restoration Nation or here at Disaster Podcasters. Follow the Alliance page. It's AIR, the Alliance of Independent Restorers. Or just contact me. We're going to be, follow me on Facebook. We'll be releasing a lot of information of where that's going to be, but we want to welcome and support everyone. We'd like you to be part of our alliance. Those that have come down here together are having a lot of success because showing up, if you're not local, but saying you're part of a coalition and alliance, helps. It helps say that you're a little better. You're willing to work with others. You're probably better than a fly-by-night guy. There's some trust built in. Some of them are joining up on jobs together, bigger jobs, or, let's knock this out together. Some have borrowed equipment, supplies, or even staff from each other. And then others are just be there to support. So I'm really, really, really proud of watching what AIR's been doing the last couple of days. And this is part of what we designed it for. And we're getting there. So I had dinner last night with some Moises Pacheco with Next Gen Restoration. Excuse me, I'm dead tired. Out of Chicago, North Chicago area, Crystal Lake. Him and his team have been sent a couple of truckloads of stuff down here, and they got some work going. So good there. Ramon, talked to Lazaro. Talked to a lot of AIR members. Jamie Kennedy's here from KPM from Rochester, doing good stuff. I think Rochester or Syracuse, New York. Anyway, so again, it's kind of an abbreviated podcast. I don't have a ton of production ready. This is not going to be as well put together as our normal ones, but it very well might end up being one of our most watched because it's real. The last thing I want to talk about, and this came up, I put this in a post into one of our groups yesterday and started getting some feelers that if I talk about this on a podcast, what would the feelings be? It's definitely a big topic. Specifically about mitigation and remediation contractors and relationships with public adjusters. I personally, professionally, have not worked on jobs with public adjusters in my whole career. I haven't needed to, and we have walked away from those relationships. I now, in the last 5 years, 4 years, have gotten to know a few public adjusters, less than a handful, that I think are really good people and are in this for the right reason. They know who they are. They come in and they will say, there's a time and a place for a public adjuster on claims. I think what's happening, if I could talk about the growth of the public adjuster side, because I know a lot of restoration contractors that are becoming PAs. They want to be PAs anyway. We're finding that we need to have such an advocacy for our clients. Our insurance companies are getting worse and worse and worse with their tactics, with delay, deny, defend, undervaluing jobs, undervaluing payments. It's really become really greedy. And as contractors, we see that happening. And yes, it affects what we make. And I hope that's the biggest reason, not the biggest reason why people want to fight, because it affects your wallet. I hope you also agree that if you say you do this for the homeowner, you do. But homeowners are getting screwed, or policyholders, whether they're home or business. And we want to fight for that. There are very specific laws from UPPA on lawful practice of public adjusting. You cannot represent your customer in their claim with their insurance. You are a contractor. The only business you have is what you do with that customer. The more you try to jump into the rest of it, number one, the closer you get to getting in trouble. Some places it's a felony, some it's a misdemeanor. You confuse the customer, you misrepresent, you don't have any legal rights to do so. The customer could hold you liable for your advice and your direction, and it not be something that can actually happen because you don't know the laws. You don't have an AOB, or you don't have the rights. You haven't signed up as that. So I just see a growing amount of people becoming PAs or trying to act as those because they just want to beat the carrier so bad. Because like me, nobody likes a bully, and people are getting bullied, and it triggers something in us. But what that customer needs from you is your incredible technical skill set to accurately and appropriately return that structure. And that takes a professional to know how to do it the right way with documentation to back it up so that customer can efficiently be reimbursed for the work that needed to happen. People going in there and doing the wrong job, charging it too much, that customer won't end up getting paid, and they hired the wrong contractor that doesn't do a very good job. I'm a big advocate, or a big, you hear me talking a lot. I think we do too much documentation. I think documentation is important, but when we are doing the job of the adjusters because they don't want to send people out there, we are actually, again, in all the other ways we're doing it, we're bolstering their profits for their company by cutting their overhead by sending adjusters out there. We're taking on liability of stuff. I get it. You want to do Matterport. You want to do extensive this. Listen, we just got to get that house dry and back to order. There's a few things we have to do, and then that's what we do, and then we move on and get more jobs. But this I'm not in favor of the going insane when more time goes into documenting the claim than actually goes into it. But the thing is they've conditioned the carrier, TPAs, programs, the consultants have conditioned us that's how you get paid. So that's that. But I want to talk about PAs, okay? I said I know 5 good PAs, good people that will do things on the up and up. That doesn't mean there's not more than those. It just means the ones I know. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of good public adjusters out there. But there are a lot of not. Okay? There are a lot of really unethical and greedy public adjusters. How do I know? Well, number one, I know some of them. Number two, that industry, just like ours, the restoration industry, or remediation mitigation, That industry is trying to clean up their own ranks. They will acknowledge that they're not heavily loaded with the great right people. They know they have them, and they are getting together and trying to fight against the wrong ones. Same thing with roofers. There's a huge Kim Reed, and Eric and Paul Reed and a whole bunch of people just had Storm into New Era, and it's a conference for mostly roofers to try to clean up their act. We can do better is pretty much what they say. We can do better. Let's do better. And the wrong people are not there. The bad ones, they're not there. PAs make their money on the total claim. I get that. And I believe in most cases it's capped at 10%. But sometimes for that to be a higher payout, they need to find work that's above and beyond. So here's my problem, or my personal position on PAs. And I really want feedback from everyone, because I do not want to start an argumentative situation. I'm about positivity and outcomes, but I'm also about realistic. Public adjusters often want to come in and drive a wedge between you and the policyholder. And that's who we're onboarding. That's who we're making a relationship with. And that's the one that we're expressing our value to. And a PA will come in and take over the whole claim, and then literally wants to believe that everybody works for them. Most times don't know what we do. And then they want 10% of the contractor's pay. That's the problem. I walk away. I walk away from those jobs. I don't agree in paying plumbers. I don't agree in paying kickbacks. I mean, is there a thank you for a referral? Yeah, we work something out. Football players, pro football players, they buy their the quarterbacks buy their offensive line a Jeep as a thank you for saving my ass all year. But I run my jobs ethically and financially responsibly to where there's enough profit for me and my company to sustain and enough to grow, because companies have to have it. If I have to start finding places to put another 10% or more on a job, that means I'm probably doing work that doesn't need to be done, and or I'm giving up my profit, which hurts my company. Anyone that knows me and follows me can tell you, or they've heard me say, revenue is not profit. Revenue doesn't mean shit if you don't have the right margin percentages. Profit is how companies grow. Revenue is just more operational responsibility. You're going to do more work. You're going to be busier. You're going to take on more subs. You're going to do more employees. If you're not making the profit you need, you're going to always be required to sell and do more, and continue to have less and less in the bank and more in the receivables. PAs. I don't need a PA to tell me how to do what we do. I don't need a PA to bring in all of their friends and friendly parties that they travel with and work with that play that game. I don't need any of that. I will contact the customer, and like we'd have, working with you only. If I have to work with the PA, I'm walking away. This job can go to somebody else, and you can deal with all the parties that are in the deep pockets together. I'm not dealing with it. And if the customer says I'm okay with all that, I'm okay with the games, then they're not my customer anyway. I'm really, really serious about this, folks. And if you don't know where your next job's coming from, you're not going to like any of what I have to say. But if you've been in this a while and you know you built your business, or if you've been through this, you're going to agree with me to some degree. I put this poll out kind of on the Facebook Restoration Nation and Watered Image forum or whatever. There are people there that work with PAs, and then most good professional hardcore contractors that have great relationships don't work with them. They all said that. Nope, we walk away. Find a good one, because I do believe there is a time when a PA plays a very vital, important role for an insured. The insured customer, homeowner, business owner, they don't know what they're up against, but they bought a house. They're grown-ups, they're adults. If I were in this industry and my house flooded or had a fire, I wouldn't hire a PA. I would stand up for myself because I would have already learned what my insurance company, I work, the insurance company works for me. I know that. I've always known that. I don't get pushed around by adjusters. I don't get ignored by adjusters. I don't get short paid by adjusters. If I'm not sure that the number that the contractor that's working for me is a good number, then I'll check around. I can do my homework and due diligence. So can your customers. All your customers don't need you to come in with a cape. I'm sorry. I won't go there, but I'd like to continue this conversation. I'm not saying damn to the PAs. They know that there's a lot of bad ones and good ones like I do. I just, the good ones I know aren't working here right now. When they get here, if they do, I'll recommend them the jobs. If there's a place for them. But I just haven't ever had to have a PA on the job. And, there's just a certain things that go along with that I just will stand up against. But I just wanted to approach that. So if you're down here trying to make relationships with PAs and they want to take, be careful. Make sure you do the scope of what needs to be done by the standard of care. Not a dollar more, a dollar less. And if you are willing to give up 10% of your revenue, if you know your profit numbers and it's enough for you, okay. You do what you got to do. But ask yourself, why do PAs, how can they get so many jobs signed up and you can't? What are they doing different than you? Because you're just renting leads. You could do the same thing. Get down here and promote yourself. Get to know some people. Hold a little town hall for some local citizens and talk to them about, what they need to know and they don't know. A lot of people here don't have insurance. Give people some tips on what they can do with what they've got. Offer them a limited amount of your help. They don't have much. I can do some things. You can rent my fans and humidifiers and sign a statement, a hold harmless that says this house needs a whole lot more. But people who don't have insurance, they need something. Some people aren't going to agree with that what I just said. But if you need to help some people in some ways, that's help. I know Doug Quinn with UD, United Disaster Recoveries is a nonprofit down here just doing what he can. Great to talk about a homeowner needs to follow their policy. Kentucky tornado. Some people can't read and write. They don't have insurance. Have it forever. They've owned their home forever. Their family farm. They're just trying to survive. They aren't looking at the bacteria that's in their house from a flood. They just need some basic essentials. Find a way that you can help with those things. But listen, I'm gonna be down here for on and off for a few weeks. It's figuring out what I do. I've launched a new company called CatX. I definitely help contractors with commercial jobs that are a little bigger than maybe they're used to working on, and I can help with them coordination, make sure the billing's right, train PMs and supervisors and stuff to run those kinds of jobs better. They're different than the small jobs they're used to. So I definitely going to support that. I have resources for whatever anyone needs, barges and anything you need. So I'm going to be launching that over the next few weeks, just here making a presence, but really supporting my clients that are down here and friends and things like that. So if you need something, reach out, Clark at restorationadvisors.com. Go to our website, leave your information there on the contact form. You have a question, I can always be found on Facebook. I'll get to it when I can. It's not always instant. I usually check those every couple of hours. But I think that's about it for my podcast live. This is not your normal podcast. Do good work. If you're not ready to come down here and you're not sure you are, don't. If you are going to come down here, come down and team up with someone and be part of their team and learn on the shadow of them. Sleep on their couch and then decide next year what you learned, if that's something to make a mobilization. But just don't be overly risky, okay? Your company, you're building it up. This can derail your company if it's not done right. So I just really, really, really want to urge everyone to follow some of those best practices. And lastly, pay attention to the licensing. Florida license is a very, very strong thing. You can't do rebuild. You need to check around Everyone's asking, do you need it for mitigation? Check and see. Call the state. Ask them. Don't listen to legal advice on Facebook or from non-attorneys, please. People will tell you what they have learned, which might also be untrue. You know the game. But I'm going to get to go home for a couple of days for my family. Make sure you're doing the same thing. Make sure your staff watch real close your team and look for signs of cracking. And I tell everyone 12 days. 12 days in a row of your staff being down here working can oftentimes be the difference of a lot. So 12 days is a good rotation point for me. It always has been with hundreds and thousands of workers. 12 days rotate out, or nothing else, just a day or two. Promise them you'll be back, because a lot of people don't want to leave because they're afraid of that money. Pay them a little bit while they're gone. Keep them refreshed, but give them a reason to get home and reset. That's it for Disaster Podcaster. I don't know, next week or the next couple of weeks, might continue to do these. I don't have all of my gear. We might get that stuff shipped down here and I might set that up. But as long as I'm in a camper, no internet, it's a little difficult to do. So we'll be playing by ear, but hang in there with us. We'll be back to our regular thing. I've got some great stuff planned for when we're back in the studio. A guest that's going to blow your mind. Actually, two. One's confirmed. Another one I'm working on. And it's going to be really fun. But I just have to help us out and share our podcast with others for our industry. I don't know who listens to podcasts. A lot of people don't listen to them. But, ours aren't very long, usually less than 45 minutes or so. Share our podcast with folks and then communicate with me what you want to hear about. Even on this one, if you want to know something else, we can do another version of this or a 14.5 or a 14.1, a bonus. We can do anything we want to do, but let us know how we can support. Let us know what you need. And if you need anything at all, I'm down here, boots on the ground, and we can help out. Take care.